Good morning. Good morning. Remember when high school was just survival with homework, freaks, geeks, and a whole lot of awkward kindness? Let's go back because those stories didn't just shape our past, they're still shaping how we show up today. Welcome to Kindness Rising, where Gen X nostalgia, high school band vibes, and real stories of kindness turn into your morning fuel.
This is Kindness Rising.
Good morning, foxes and vixens. Welcome back to the Fox Den, where today we're diving into one of the most underrated, short-lived, yet soul-shaking shows of our Gen X adolescence, Freaks and Geeks. One season, 18 episodes, and a lifetime of truth bombs about growing up in the late 70s and early 80s. That awkward locker room, first concert, bad haircut, and finding your tribe vibe. Freaks, geeks, or somewhere in between. And we're going to pull kindness out of every basement jam flavored memory. So grab your tie-dye, crank up that Rush album, Nick Andropoulos's Canadian trio obsession, and let's geek out together.
Did you know Freaks and Geeks got canceled because the network thought it was too real?
Yeah, perish the thought of pimples and broken heart. Guess they wanted it to look more like Dawson's Creek.
Exactly.
Hey now, don't knock Dawson too hard, Stan. But true story, fans didn't need permission to keep the story alive.
Exactly. Discipline and reruns, they live forever. And Twinkies. Twinkies live forever too.
All right, here's the things. Freaks and Geeks wasn't just about nostalgia. It was about empathy and understanding what it felt like to be invisible, overlooked, or misunderstood. Remember Lindsay in her army jacket trying to figure out where she belonged, or Sam getting crushed by the weight of high school cruelty? It's kindness that could have changed everything for those kids. And honestly, kindness is still what changes everything for us today, even decades later. That's the spark. How fandom and friendship shape us, and how kindness lets us carry those lessons forward. All right, one of the unsung heroes in Freaks and Geeks was Mr. Rosso, the guidance counselor who was equal parts cringy and compassionate. He always tried to connect, even when the kids rolled their eyes. On Freaks and Geeks, the actor who played him was David Allen Gruber. He was Mr. Rosso, and he had the perfect, well-meaning hippie guidance counselor look, an unforgettable personal brand, a shaggy mop of curly brown hair, just long enough to feel like he'd been at a Dead show the night before, a thin but mistakable mustache that gave him the aging hipster vibe. He always wore casual button-downs and a turtleneck, sometimes with that loose cardigan that looked more like coffee house poet than high school staff. He gave off the air of a man who might pull an acoustic guitar in the middle of a counseling session. His posture was relaxed. His voice was kind of mellow, like he was trying to keep the spirit of Woodstock alive in a suburban Michigan high school. It all combined into a look that screamed earnest, slightly awkward, but kind-hearted deadhead who really wants the kids to know he's on their side. That was his personal brand. And here's the perfect moment that I loved. One of my favorite memories from Freaks and Geeks. Lindsay, one of the lead characters, is having a counseling session, and he dropped a line from the Grateful Dead. And Lindsay goes, "The who?" And he just calmly corrects her, "No, it's the Grateful Dead." It was awkward. It was funny. It was pure Mr. Rosso using music, kindness, and a little hippie wisdom to remind kids they aren't alone, even if they thought he was totally out of touch. The lesson from Mr. Rosso: kindness isn't about being cool. It's about showing up, even if your deadhead quotes fall flat. Mr. Rosso, the guidance counselor in Freaks and Geeks, was played by David Allen Gruber, a comedian and actor known for his quirky offbeat roles and stand-up background. It was his personal brand, super memorable, and he got at it every day with his cool little vibe. He was one of my favorite characters, and something that I will always remember was his kindness.
These lockers smell like broken dreams. Or my lunch from 1989.
All right here on Kindness Rising, we always talk about some organizations that lean into our subject for today. Freaks and Geeks, those outcasts, awkward people trying to figure out where they are in life. And there are organizations out there helping kids to do just that. Let's first talk about the Trevor Project. I don't know if you guys know him, but back in 1998, this was named after a short film about a 13-year-old kid who was navigating acceptance. He became the world's largest suicide prevention and crisis intervention organization for LGBTQ youth. He didn't, but the organization did. They're on call 24/7 with phone, text, and chat, which means when someone is feeling invisible, there's always a real human voice saying, "You matter and you're not alone." Another organization we talk about here for our Freaks and Geeks episode is Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. They've been around for a long time too. They're over 100 years old, one of the oldest mentoring programs in the country. They match kids with mentors who show up consistently, not just once, but over months and years. I once talked with a big who mentored a shy middle schooler. The kid barely spoke at first, but he loved music. So every week the mentor brought a different record, the Beatles, Zeppelin, even the Dead, and they just listened together. And over time, that quiet kid just started opening up. It's the power of showing up, not with fireworks, but with presence. The exact same vibe that Freaks and Geeks gives off. That's what Big Brothers and Big Sisters is all about.
How'd you end up in detention again?
I was caught just being myself.
Oh man, a life sentence.
You guys recognizing the vibe of this music at all? I'm going to check in on the comments. Michael is there. I think that's Global saying hi. Gojo is the best. Welcome. Welcome to Kindness Rising, your morning dose of hope, humanity, and humor. We're talking about Freaks and Geeks all day today. I don't know if you guys know the show. If you're out there, I know I do. I loved it. The fandom is insane. I'm going to talk about those. Do I know Myanmar, number one? Of course I know Myanmar. I'm a global person, just like Michael is. What's up in Myanmar right now? Number one. Michael Hers, happy Friday. Mike, welcome in, man. You've been with us all week long. We appreciate you. My guess is you probably know Freaks and Geeks and maybe saw some episodes. Share your Freaks and Geeks memories or your high school memories out there in the comments. I'd love to hear what you all have to say. Michael, you always drop great bombs of knowledge and nuggets, so keep bringing it. All right, let's move on. Let's get real. Freaks and Geeks was canceled before its time, but the magic lived on because fans wouldn't let it die. That is true branding in action. We talk about the Eat Philosophy experience. We lived in those awkward years. We've got our own brand. Expertise. We know what fandom feels like. Authenticity. We still talk about it decades later with a smile. And trust. When we say it mattered, people believe us. That show mattered. Freaks and Geeks really mattered. It mattered to us, and it still matters. I watch it about once a year. I've watched it with my kids. We actually have it on DVD. The DVDs still exist, maybe Blu-ray, I don't know. But we watch it consistently. It never ever fails. And they entertain. Judd Apatow, you might know Judd Apatow from some of his famous movies, and some of the characters, some of the actors actually became Judd Apatow regulars. The whole crew made us laugh while ripping our hearts out. That was entertainment. And that's our EAT philosophy: experience, expertise, authenticity, trust, and entertainment. And if you're building your own brand, tap into your own freaks, your own geeks, and your own high school band tribe. People will stick around because you're real. Absolutely. You know, everybody's got a podcast these days, and it feels like the market is just totally flooded. There's millions of shows. Most of them sound the same, blah, 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 blah. Stuck in the algorithm swamp, getting lost, millions of downloads, but nobody's listening. It's hard to stand out when you're just another voice in someone's queue. But going live like we do right here on Kindness Rising, and Keith and John and friends do over at Mornings in Lab, that's a different story. A live show, it puts you right in the room, unscripted and unfiltered. Your audience doesn't just hear you, they experience you. That's what we're doing here on Kindness Rising and Mornings in Lab. They see your energy, your reactions, your humor in real time, and that authenticity, the stumbles, the improv, the realness, what I do right here on Kindness Rising, that's what builds trust and makes people come back. That's why starting your own show on Mornings in the Lab isn't just content. It's personal branding at its best. You're not just another podcaster fighting for downloads. You're a living presence, a real voice, and part of a community that's showing up every single morning in a world full of noise. Going live is authenticity that cuts through. I'm not good at English. I'm 12. Me, number one, you're 12. You probably don't know Freaks and Geeks, but if you have it out there in Myanmar, I would suggest you check it out. It might be perfect for you at the age of 12. Roseanne Roof, Mom, you're in the chat. Do I remember? Did you forget? And I both went to middle school in the same year, West Middle. We both loved that time of our life. I don't know that I loved it that much, Mom. I do remember that there were times I got sent to the principal's office, and my mother, who was a teacher in the same school, was actually waiting for me in the principal's office. I had a few little incidents there, but no, Mom, I love you, and I loved that you were there. I counted on you every day when you were there, and that's awesome. Lady Drew, you're in the comments this morning. Thank you so much. You're in the house of true kindness and information. Absolutely, we're giving information about Freaks and Geeks today. We're keeping it light with our fandom Friday. Mike Hurst, Mom recovering from her birthday party. I talked to her about it last night. 7 women out on a boat going across Skinny Atlas Lake. If you guys know Skinny Atlas Lake, what I loved about what my mom said is, with this group, there's no drama. It's just a good group of people who've lived life. They share their kindness, and that's awesome. What a great model for all of us to follow. Thank you, everybody, for joining us right here in the comments at Kindness Rising. You guys are awesome. We're building an awesome community, just like they did at Freaks and Geeks. And don't remember, personal brand, or don't remember. I don't remember what I'm talking about. Don't forget that personal branding at its best happens when you go live. Don't just create another podcast. Stand out.
Welcome to episode 1 of Motivation with Dave.
Congrats, Dave. Your podcast number 5,764,999 and still invisible.
Dave, nobody wants another podcast. Go live.
Going live was the best decision I ever made. True motherfucking story.
All right, here's a little bit of good news for you this morning. Kindness, good news, stuff that's trending about the alumni from Freaks and Geeks. There's rewatch parties happening all over the place. There's Facebook groups that are hosting Freaks and Geeks rewatch marathons, live stream set break chats. It's like reliving a show that never got its encore, proving that fandom can resurrect the spirit of something that the networks cut off way too early. There's a viral TikTok clip of Gen X parents introducing their teens to Bill Murray is the funniest man alive, Dick. A little monologue showing how humor and kindness can travel across the generations. And what's really cool is a couple of the stars, Seth Rogen and Linda Cardellini, they're out there doing stuff for charity. Seth Rogen, the guy you think of as the stoner kind of guy. Seth Rogen, he has Hilarity for charity. From geek to kindness champion, Seth and his wife Lauren created this organization to fight Alzheimer's with brain health education, and now a brand new documentary called Taking Care that shines light on caregiving families. That's his fandom energy redirected into real world change. And then there's Linda Cardellini. She's got quiet support. She lent her heart to causes like Make-A-Wish Foundation, lupus, and children's cancer programs. She may not headlight the kindness news, but she's showing up where it matters, just like Lindsay Ware always tried to do. What do you guys think of the music vibes today? Does it feel like Freaks and Geeks? I hope it does, because that was the intention today. Here on Kindness Rising, we create all of our own original music with Suno. It's an AI tool that lets us shape our sound and fit the vibe to our shows. Today, because we were digging into Freaks and Geeks, I went with an indie pop sound inspired by the iconic theme song, but I spun it in my own direction. We always lean towards instrumental and jammy tracks because that's what I love, and this is my show. But this music that's energetic, a little raw, and keeps the show moving, that's what we do here on Kindness Rising. Using Suno, because Suno doesn't just replace creativity, it supports it. It gives you the canvas, but the vision is still yours. You can build the music you hear in shows, music you hear in your head, whether it's nostalgic indie rock, funky jam band grooves inspired by the Grateful Dead and String Cheese Incident, or something nobody's ever heard before. You got to check out Mornings in the Lab's music. Keith has created really his own very personal sound with bagpipes and trap beats. It's definitely energetic and it gets after it. Try it out. Go over to Mornings in the Lab at 8 a.m. this morning. Join the community there. Get behind the paywall for some really special stuff. But also check out Suno for yourself. Start creating your music that you want to hear, not what the algorithm says you should.
Dude, I tried to rewind your intro music, but the tape exploded.
Don't worry. Side B is where the magic happens anyway.
These guys were supposed to prepare the soundtrack, but apparently they're staging a mixtape revival instead of learning Suno.
Cloud storage? Bro, our cloud is cigarette smoke in this basement.
Kindness means never fast forwarding through someone else's mixtape.
Caught me having a little sip of my coffee here. I love this mug. I put my stickers on it of all the bands I love. Of course, there's the Grateful Dead, California Honey Drops. I've talked about them, the record company. Got my Fox logo right here because you're in the Fox's Den. And of course, Ithaca Bakery, one of my favorite places to eat. If you're ever up in Ithaca, check it out. Bagels, sandwiches, salads. It's just an awesome, cool place where I've created a lot of memories with my family too. Let's jump back into the comments real quick. Be Driven, welcome in. You're always here, keeping it buzzy on a Friday. I appreciate you. You are awesome. Lady Drew just rocking in the comments. Together we can truly move to be more knowledgeable and better. That's what we do on Kindness Rising. That's what we do at Mornings in the Lab. And Lady Drew, you're always there with us, dropping your nuggets, calling in when you can. I appreciate you. Welcome, welcome everyone to Kindness Rising. Let's keep it going. All right, here's a kind little story. You know, one of the things about Freaks and Geeks is they really nailed the feeling about being an outsider. The freak, the geek, the kid getting shoved into lockers and just being bullied a little bit and trying to find his way. Here's a real story that shows how kindness can heal even decades later. You guys know who Misha Brown is? Misha Brown grew up in the South, and in high school, he was bullied relentlessly for being gay. He talked about those years as some of the darkest of his life, begging not to be who he was, wishing he could just disappear into the crowd, being bullied all over the place. He was truly vibing with Freaks and Geeks. He's now a pretty significant influencer in that community. But fast forward 20 years after his high school days were over, and he continued on, and he's become kind of a internet star out of nowhere. Misha got a message from one of his worst bullies. No excuses, no half apologies, just raw regret. The man had found out his own son was gay. And suddenly he saw all those years of cruelty that he unleashed on Misha for what they were, a shameful chapter he couldn't undo. He told Misha that he was sorry, and he hoped his son would meet people who showed him the kindness that he himself never could. What was Misha's response to this? Could have been anything. He forgave him. Misha said this, "I cried for me, the little boy who begged not to be gay." That apology didn't erase the scars, but it rewrote the ending. Instead of leaving things broken, they found a way back to their humanity. And here's the lesson. Kindness doesn't always come on time. It doesn't come when we want to. Sometimes it's late. Sometimes it's awkward. Sometimes it can be fumbling. But when it shows up, it can still change everything. Just like Freaks and Geeks did, one small act of empathy could have flipped the story. Misha's story shows us that kindness, even delayed, still matters, and it proves something powerful. We're never too old, too far gone, or too set in our ways to choose kindness. All right. Let's keep it rolling. We are flying here, and I still have a ton of material to cover. Okay. I just love talking about this stuff. All right, we're going to move us from thoughts to action, of course, always do here on Kindness Rising. We get after it. We don't just talk about stuff, we do stuff. Here's your Friday Freak Flag Challenge. Reach out to your old tribe, your fellow freaks, your geeks, the jocks or the band kids. Shoot them a text, drop a meme, and just say, hey, you made my awkward years a little less awkward. That's kindness multiply, and trust me, it feels as good as that encore you didn't see coming. All right. So here's the kindness legacy of the life cycle of Freaks and Geeks. This is what's been really cool about me. It's cool about me because I love Freaks and Geeks, but it's also cool about the show. Freaks and Geeks premiered in 1999. It ran just 12 episodes on NBC before getting yanked. They only aired all 18 episodes later because of fan demand. The network didn't know what to do with it. It was too smart for a teen comedy, too heartfelt for primetime ratings wars, but Judd Apatow, the creative core fought for it. They pushed against lawsuits, begged to let the story breathe. And when cancellation came, they leaned into the backlash, encouraging fans to keep writing, keep demanding, and keep remembering. What they built was more than a show. It was a true cult anthem, a community that connected over awkward adolescence and carried that bond into adulthood. People still swap out bootlegs of jam bands. Freaks and Geeks fizzled out in the charts, but burned hot in people's hearts, just like those bootlegs. The loyal following is still out there, connected not by ratings, but by resonance. Absolutely. I know it resonates with me, and I'm sure it still will resonate with you, regardless of what generation you're from. It's an amazing show of heart. Speaking about sticking with it, Freaks and Geeks taught us the hard lesson. You can't always rely on motivation. Lindsay didn't always feel like doing her math homework. Sam didn't feel like taking another shot at asking out Cindy Sanders. but they kept going. That's the bridge to Keith and his crew this morning, who are digging into discipline over motivation. Kindness shows up the same way, not just when you're inspired, but when you make it a habit. Discipline over motivation, kindness over empathy. Stick around for Mornings in Lab right after this, 8 a.m. on the Mornings in the Lab network, Mornings in the Lab channel. They're going deep.
But what if no one listens?
If it's live, they'll feel it. And when they feel it, they'll listen.
Show your expertise, your experience, your authenticity, and your truth through a live conversation.
Ditch the podcast. Start a live conversation on the Mornings in the Lab live network today.
We're still getting after it here with our Freaks and Geeks vibe. We love it here on Kindness Rising. Every Friday, we talk about a Friday fandom. Jump into the comments. Let us know what fandom you want to hear about. We're getting into a weekly rhythm here. On Mondays, we talk about work. On Tuesdays, we talk about lifestyle and art and that kind of stuff. On Wednesdays, we jump into wellness. On Thursdays, we're getting after relationships of all kinds, because relationships are where the kindness happens. And Fridays is Friday fandom. I know I've got a ton of them. I'll never run out of ideas, but I want to do it for you. So audience, tell me what you want to hear about. I'll dig in for you. I'll create a soundtrack. I'll create a soundtrack that matches the vibe and bring information, education, a little bit of humor, and definitely some entertainment for your day and about your subject. What do you want to hear about? I'll get after it. We're the Mornings in the Lab network. Kindness Rising, 7:30 a.m. Monday through Friday, live on YouTube, on Facebook, and LinkedIn. Keep joining us. Keep getting involved in the community. Subscribe to the channels, all that stuff. And if you're watching it on demand, don't forget to subscribe. Maybe we can be your motivation for getting up and getting after it every day. That's what we do here at the Mornings in the Lab network. We're building an amazing network of awesome characters, of personalities. Get into it. Check it out. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. I know I'm not. I love doing this every day. Thank you so much for coming out to the Mornings in the Lab network, to Kindness Rising. This is my 8th week now. 40 episodes, just showing up every day, getting after it, building those Calder and Stanley videos. You're going to be seeing more and more from them. Digging into the Suno stuff, writing my material with my heart, bringing kindness every day to you guys, having a little fun along the way. It's a ton of fun, and you can do it too with your own live show. Bring yourself to the community. Bring yourself to the world through the Mornings in the Lab network. All right. All right. Well, that's it. I can't believe it. We're here. We're nearing the end. We're going to get over to see Keith and John and friends. It's a free-for-all Friday over there. I'm going to be joining at some point, probably after 9 o'clock. We're going to have great conversation about all kinds of things. They're talking about discipline and motivation over there today. I think they have a few scandalous, if you want to call it, or scintillating topics to talk about. So that ought to be interesting. It always is with that crew over there, with Melissa and Jimmy on the dials. They're doing an awesome job just creating some really cool content and making sure that our shows run smoothly. They're awesome. We're a small team here at the Mornings in the Lab, but we get up and get after it all day, every day. At the end of the day, Freaks and Geeks reminds us that kindness isn't about being perfect. It's about being human, awkward, real, and choosing to care anyway. The show built an anthem for the outsiders, but the network, they pulled the plug before the song was over. And that's why fans, like a jam band crowd refusing to leave the lot, kept the flame alive. Freak, geek, or somewhere in between, you belong here. You belong here on Kindness Rising and in the Mornings in the Lab network. So get on out there and binge the Freaks and Geeks this weekend if you want. And as always, don't forget, stay uncommon and stay kind.
These guys play every night like it's the first time.
Kind of like Kindness Rising, he shows up every weekday morning, fresh and ready. He never misses a show.
They're real, every note, straight from the heart.
That's Kindness Rising. Real people, real energy, real talk.
Missed note, broken string, they just keep rolling.
Yep. Like Kindness Rising, it's about showing up, not being perfect.
Feels good being part of something real.
Music, kindness, worth showing up for.